I can't hear you, Benny. I got no sound, dude.
I'm here. Da, 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 da.
Oh, you are here. Hello.
All right.
Now I can hear you.
How is everybody doing? I actually was listening. I'm late because I was listening to the beautiful Chasing Truth, and she actually gave me a shout out on here, which is cool, man. You know, awesome. So
Awesome.
yeah,
I'm going to have to apologize in advance if you can hear the rain on my roof. I'm sorry. Can't fix that.
You can't control the rain there? What?
No, shit, eh? I wrote a petition to the government. They didn't listen.
Bastards. Guys, what we're going to be talking about today is ACE. For those that don't know what ACE is, it is short for Adverse Childhood Experiences. Now, if you need some definitions, some terminology, some vocabulary, it is adverse childhood experience. It encompasses various forms of physical and emotional abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction experienced in childhood. ACEs have been linked to...
Benny, can I just interrupt? Is anybody else out there getting echoes? G-Dog says she's getting an echo. Is anyone else out there getting echo?
I'm not sure what I can even... Hold on.
Okay, so it's only happening for some, not everybody. Type a 1 if you can hear echo. Okay, so anyone else who is hearing echo, try leaving and coming back.
How are we doing now? Is that better?
Well, I wasn't hearing echo. G-Dog was, but nobody else is. So, G-Dog, leave the stream and come back and see if that's better.
Yeah, please do that. Come right back, though. All right, guys. So let me go back to where we were. What is ACE? ACE, it is an acronym for Adverse Childhood Experiences. They are potentially traumatic events that occur in childhood from 0 to 17 years. For example, experiencing violence, abuse, or neglect. These experiences encompass various forms of abuse. ACEs have been linked to premature death as well as various health complications, including those of mental disorders. And it's just, it also, this encompasses an extreme, to the most extreme level of stress. So that's what we're going to be talking about in part tonight.
Yep. Hi, BTS, and she says hi to me. Hello back. I'm sorry. I find it difficult to do both the multitasking, both the chat and the talking.
There we go. So we are going to dig in, I guess, guys. This should be a good show. And I call it a show in terms of, we're going to show out. We're going to come with the education, guys, because we know, hey, Ms. Wyatt, we know that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So education is the prevention. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to someone who has far more expertise in adverse childhood conditions, experiences rather. Hello, Gonzo. Go ahead and take over, Aussie. You got the floor.
Okay, well, I wouldn't say I've got experience in it other than I was affected by it. So I'm speaking from experience. And also, just Benny, if I get talking too fast or a little bit out of control, you'll have to rein me back in, because these topics do trigger me as well. So I might talk a little bit too fast or read too fast for people to follow.
We did want to.
So pull me up.
No, yes, you're fine. Trigger warnings.
Correct. Trigger warnings.
Yeah, trigger warning. We definitely are going to give everyone an opportunity who could be or think they may be or might be triggered by SA talk or SA connotation. We certainly do not want to trigger anyone. That is not why we're here. We're here to educate. We aren't here to hurt anyone. So if you are someone that has an issue with triggers, please check back with us on the next video.
Yep, and we put the trigger warnings into our description box this time, because that's the beginning of setting the example for our standard of ethics, so that people are forewarned that when we're going to talk about topics that are triggering. And so that's going to probably be number one in our ethics list, to make sure that when you are talking about triggering subjects, you do warn your audience. And secondly, that you provide some information for people to call a helpline if they're triggered, which, Benny, you didn't do.
I'm doing it right now.
Just in captions, buddy. Yeah, and I put the hotline numbers in the description box for you.
Oops, hold on. Where is hold on. Yeah, guys, I'm really brand spanking new to using these captions. So we are definitely going to.
It's all good. We're patient. Take your time.
Yes.
But it's important that we do that to set the ethical standard if we're going to be come up with ethics that everyone can stick by. And there was another YouTuber, which I'm not going to say names, but they did an interview with some SA victims. They didn't put an informative title in the video, and then they didn't actually warn anybody about the triggering subject, and so I thought it's time that we start. No, why would I talk about Chris?
Okay. Yeah, so as a police officer,
to be fair, we've been doing it too. So to be fair, we've been doing it too. So it's time for us to pull our heads in and treat this with respect, the respect that it deserves.
We need to pull our heads out.
Out.
Forget it. Okay. Moving on, guys.
Everything's the opposite down under, remember?
I do remember. Matey. That's not a knife. All right. So, guys, I am excited. I always get excited on these educational days. And primarily because when we have time to do like this vocab and critical thinking, when we have time to do this, that means that there's not something else going on in the case that is requiring us to be right there on top of it. So it's a blessing all the way around. Go ahead and take it from there.
No worries. Can our mods take care of the trolls, please? We don't need trolls triggering people as well today, because we're already talking about triggering enough topics.
That's it. Mods,
for those who
you have a shoot on sight order for tonight.
Correct. So for those who are not familiar, I used to write a blog called Aussie Insider, and it was just like, venting and complaining about everything our government does. But the topic tonight is very familiar to all of you in America, given that we have Ghislaine Maxwell, locked up right now and awaiting trial, and we have, the Epstein stuff going on as well. So, so a lot of you are familiar with this, and what I'd like to do is like put it into culture sort of frames of reference. So the culture back in the 80s compared to the culture today, because we're talking about, with respect to Don and the stuff that other people are talking about there with the essay, we're talking about two completely different cultures. And to come at something today in the current culture, with no background on what the culture was back then, is probably, I think, a little bit misguided. I'm not saying that adults who did things to children ever should get away with it, no matter how long in the future it is. That's not the point here. But we do need to like revisit what the culture was in the 80s and compare it to what it is today, so that we've got a more balanced look at what we're doing. And the reason we want a balanced look is because we don't need another satanic panic. So, Benny, you'd be familiar with the satanic panic in the 90s, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. It played a big part in the West Memphis 3 case with Mr. Eccles, Mr. Baldwin, and Mr. Miss Kelly Jr. We just had some. It initially started with a request to a probation director in West Memphis. He was asked to make a list of probationers he felt like would be good for a satanic type crime. So he made a list. These boys were, of course, they were picked up with little or no evidence of any sort of connection to the crime, other than just living in the area. And they were brought down, and it was through subsequent experts talking about the rituals of satanic cult and practice, or the occult. So yes, the satanic panic, it led to many bad convictions, false confessions, the whole lot.
Right. So those boys are actually in the process of being proven, I guess, innocent through DNA evidence. So the satanic panic was like a particularly bad time for a lot of things. Now, I'm going to go to this satanic panic era to discuss these topics that I wrote about in, I think it was the topics that we wrote about in 2018 were sorry, I did that, Benny.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the hell did I do?
No, you didn't do it. I'm just going to switch screens so that
Roger that.
I have a different image on the screen just while I'm rambling on. So can you, yeah, cool. Can you share my screen again?
Yes,
I got a new one up. Sorry. So basically, you're all familiar with the Jeffrey Epstein and the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff. You know, this stuff was going on in America. I'm not just talking about the satanic panic, but I'm talking about the child SA. But it wasn't just happening in families. It was our leaders and our community leaders and our church leaders, and pretty much everybody was doing this. And so I just wanted to put Tim Roy's book up on the screen for you to, if you want to go on and read, you know, some of the stuff that was going on in Australia at the time. And this is something that Dr. Amy, what's her name, Solano, actually mentioned on get the names right, Mike King's channel, Profiling Evil. She had actually mentioned that this particular area of Tennessee has this particular problem that little Tim, big Tim is about. And so his story is that his father prostituted him. Is that the right word? Trafficked him to important people in his area. And his story is about how he coped with that trauma. And today comes out the other side as a very respected individual who served in the military and he worked his way through it. And the book is about how he worked his way through it. So he created two personalities. He was Little Tim. When he was being abused, he was a little boy, so that was his normal personality. And he created Big Tim. Big Tim came in and took the blows and guy, basically. And this type of dissociation was a very big experiment that the CIA, American CIA, was doing back in the 60s and 70s, purposefully trying to make people dissociate as a type of weapon, I guess, a military sort of weapon. I don't know the exact reasons they were doing it, but we know the CIA has dropped a whole bunch of documents proving that that's exactly what they were doing. However, this natural process of dissociation is sort of the foundation of what I want to talk about today, because a lot of children who went through this back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they did dissociate. And Big Tim, Little Tim, Big Tim is just one story of hundreds, and I'm sure there's billions of stories out there. But I found his particularly compelling because he was able to articulate how and why and how he overcame it. So it's a very interesting book. He's an Australian guy. It's an Australian book. So it's available online if you want to search around. I actually found a free PDF download of it because he didn't put this book out there for the money. So he put this book out there for educational purposes. Now, on the topic, I just want to show an extreme example because Little Tim, Big Tim is two personalities, but I really wanted to switch to a completely extreme example of this. And another screen share, Benny. I'm not going to this video. I'm just going to show people the video so they know they can find it themselves. And so this particular lady, she ends up being like, I'm not sure if it's a world first, but certainly an Australian first, because she dissociated into 2,500 different personalities. And the reason she became a first is because our courts normally don't, it's like the secondary victimization, institutional secondary victimization. They don't let someone who has this much of a fractured personality issue to testify in court. They would usually consider them as an unreliable witness because of their mental faculties. And Jenny became like a huge sensation in Australia because she was allowed to be put on the stand. She was not only allowed to be put on the stand, but the cross and defense were allowed to examine, I think it was close to 30 of her different personalities to put the evidence on record. Now, obviously, they couldn't do 2,500 different personalities, but what was happening was her normal self would dissociate to another personality depending on the type of abuse that was being perpetrated on her. So 2,500 personalities gives you a rough idea exactly how many different types of abuses were being perpetrated on this poor woman when she was a little girl. And so it started out, her own personality was in control, and then something bad would happen. She'd switch to whichever personality was best to handle that situation. So she wasn't actually aware. Her own personality was not actually aware of what would happen when one of her other personalities had kicked in. And so when it came to the court case, they literally had to draw out some of these other personalities to tell their side of what happened in those particular minutes. So those particular moments. Because she had no idea. She would switch personalities, switch back, had no idea what would happen in those other personalities. So anyway, it's a very good story. It's a 40-minute story. Go have a look at it. If you're interested, go bookmark it and have a look at it. When we're done with the stream, because it's interesting, and it explains the process that she went through and how she felt about it. And good news, she won. The guy was put in jail and she did win. So It was an awesome story and a first in Australia. I'm not sure about America. I'm not sure that America allows people with dissociative personalities to testify, but this is a first for Australia. So I'm going to stop that screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to some articles that I wrote. Everyone going, well, are 30 personalities. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I have my microphone switched. Sorry.
Cool. Everyone going, whoa, 30 personalities. Rewind. It's 2,500 personalities. They only put on the stand around 30 personalities. So they just didn't have time to do all 2,500 is what I'm saying. So no, way more personalities. But go watch the video.
Do they do that under hypnosis?
No, she just does it. Like you ask her a triggering question and that personality pops out just while the interviewer's talking to her. It's right there on that program. You'll see that all the personalities come out right there on that program. Different personalities will come forward. So, I mean, obviously they tried to do a lot more tape, a lot more recording of her normal personality. So you got a baseline, but
Right.
yeah. And the point, that's right, Leslie. The point is she's been believed, and that is the point. And it's a lot more of it happening in Australia. We've got, I think you need to have, your psychiatrist or your social worker has to sort of help you through it, help getting through all these court cases. But she won. So anyway, no, it's not possession, Cherry. It's not possession. It's called dissociation. It's a coping mechanism for extreme trauma. It's a coping mechanism. It is not possession at all. Anyway, so let me share now some articles I wrote. So what happened was in 2013, we had a royal commission into institutional child SA, and I found that period triggering for me. And in around the 2018 mark, some of the stories started coming out and started triggering me. So I started writing. So what I'm going to do is just read for you some of the research that I did, which is how I deal. I don't dissociate. I deal with things by learning about them and understanding them, understanding what culture actually took place at the time to allow these things sort of happen. And so I did a lot of venting on my blog. So I'm just going to share that screen next. Then you can switch over to that screen. Which one am I after? That one.
As soon as it pops up.
Yeah. So you are echoing now. You are echoing now.
Because I'm the best. I'm the absolute best.
You're not echoing now. You're not now. So whatever happened there, you ended up echoing, but you're not now. So the person that was in power in Australia at the time that I was triggered was Malcolm Turnbull, okay? Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. And he was not the person in power when the Royal Commission started, but he was the person in power when things were triggered for me. And so I just wanted to give you a sort of a little background on who Malcolm Turnbull is. And I'll just read the first paragraph here. In 2014, Patricia Hewitt, former General Secretary of the National Council for Civil Liberties, was humiliated by the public for her role in supporting PI, which stands for Pedophile Information Exchange, during the 70s, and was forced to make an open apology. So I'm going to talk about the PI Patricia Hewitt was actually backing and how it came about. But before I do that, I'm just going to give you a little background on Malcolm Turnbull For the Aussies in the room, they're probably going to be familiar with this, but I'm giving you the background because you already know all the background about Jeffrey Epstein and all that stuff, and the CIA doing their weird things. So I just thought it was a different way to go about describing the exact same sort of circumstances, essentially. The exact same, like, climate, I think, as Benny put it, culture. The climate of the culture back then. So in 2014, Malcolm Turnbull gave a tribute to Gough Whitlam, and he was proudly defending Hewitt in a conversation with Whitlam during a tribute. So Gough Whitlam's obviously passed away, and I think it was in 2014. So in the late 70s, while working for Australian media mogul Kerry Packer, Turnbull obtained to bringing the controversial adult magazine Playboy to Australia. The controversy was less about adult P and more about the magazine's pro-pedo articles and regular publishing of child P, which under Turnbull's proud advocacy brought Brooke Shields and Eva Ionesco's 10-year-old naked bodies to the eyes of Aussie pedos. So that is Malcolm Turnbull's introduction to popularity in Australia. In the 80s, Turnbull was a barrister for former MI5 intelligence officer and whistleblower Peter Wright in the infamous Spycatcher trial. If you want to know about that, just Google it, where he defended innocent organisations, quote unquote, such as the Pedo Info Exchange and the Pedo Action for Liberation, by claiming they were illegally surveilled. Now, I'm going to tell you what those two organisations are shortly, that Malcolm Turnbull defended and successfully defended, because they went on for quite some time after that. In the 90s, Turnbull joined the Republican Party and supported the Whitlam government during a time when Whitlam, Keating and Kerr, these are all high-end leaders in Australia, were alleged to have held after-hours child orgies at Parliament House. Allegations that were automatically buried by the succession of governments until 2014 and then dropped completely on the basis some of the suspects had died. Obviously, one of them being Whitlam. In 2008, Turnbull came to the public defence of artist Bill Henson, whose art exhibition was raided by New South Wales Police, and more than 20 photographs of naked children were confiscated. And we're not just talking Polaroids here, people. We're talking about giant, massive, big, what is it called?
Conglomerates.
Pictures. blown up photographs for the walls. Big fuckers. Oh, sorry. Then Shadow Treasurer Turnbull attacked the police, suggesting they should stay out of art galleries, and further purported that naked photos of children should be accepted as part of artistic freedom. So this is in 2008, mind you. This isn't even back in the 80s and the 70s when it was happening.
No, or even like back in like
shortly
1920 when you would expect to hear this type of dialogue, right? Like this is not 1990 dialogue, right? It can't be.
This is 2008 dialogue.
Oh, 2008 dialogue. Shit.
Right. A little while later, Turnbull becomes communications minister. Okay, so he's in charge of TV and radio and,
propaganda minister.
Propaganda minister, exactly.
There you go.
Turnbull asserted his ongoing support for artistic freedom by allowing child pornography to pass Australian TV censorship. Any Aussies in the audience will remember this, depicting the full frontal nudity of children, the promotion of group sex in the playgrounds, in the school grounds, the stories of child nymphomaniacs and other pedo material. I'm not going to read the next bit because that's too controversial.
Right. Now, for those that are maybe wondering, what is this? Like, what? Okay, whoa, Benny, whoa, Aussie, what do you got going here? And what we're doing is we're giving you some history, and we're giving you some Aussie experience. But what we're doing is we're demonstrating to you, and we're hoping that the 60 that are here live paying attention, and you're spending your time here with us, and we appreciate that. We're going to segue in to how this is held in regards to the Wells case. Okay. Guys, don't think that we're just here blowing smoke or wasting anybody's time. What we're doing is we're giving you this is education, guys, but it will fit in. We will make the link over to how adverse childhood experiences, how those affect this case in regards to the Wells case. So please continue, Aussie.
Correct. This is historical child SA that we're talking about. And so when we want to go back 40 years into Don Wells' history, we're talking about historical SA. So this is why I'm going into a little bit of history regarding that. So that just gives you an idea who was actually in power in Australia when the Royal Commission into Institutional Child SA actually began. Now, I'm going to give you a description of now. No, let me get the right screen. I'm going to explain to you who the Pedo Info Exchange actually is now, and how it became culture, why it was culture. It was already culture by this stage, and this is what the culture actually brought into power, okay? Into power as in our government leaders, our community leaders, our churches, and everything were filled with these people. Right. So, Benny, share the next screen. All right. So, contrary to first glance, the Pedo Information Exchange is not a still branch of child protection. Quite the opposite, in fact. PI emerged in the early 70s in response to over a decade of public attacks on the Australian Lewis Carroll Collectors Guild and Peter Pan Club, members of which came under fire for proudly engaging in homosexual activity. At a time when gay pride hit the streets and was just beginning to gain traction, the rich pedos surfed the back of gay awareness, almost completely unnoticed, and as a public face of the gay movement, almost certainly funded much of it. During the late 60s, the somewhat poorer gay communities were always supportive of changing the age of consent laws in order to protect gay adult couples of varying ages from prosecution. However, the elite pedos financially powering the movement took it one step too far, demanding incest be abolished and the age of consent lowered to 4 years old. As they began to fracture from the gay movement, they changed their demands to lowering the age of consent to 10 years of age in the hope of regaining acceptance in the gays. By the early 70s, the gay community had ousted the predatory pedos, who were then forced to take up their own coming out struggle from scratch. The founder of the PI in Australia was an Adelaide barrister who was one of the founding members of the Pan Club in Australia, leader of the South Australian Communist Party of Australia, and later a judge to the Supreme Court of Australia. I'm emphasizing that for a reason. I'll come back to it, but I'm emphasizing it for a reason. The Adelaide barrister was Jory Hill's Christian Centre pastor, another founding member of the Peter Pan Club, who also founded the pseudo-church, the Assembly of God, which later morphed into Hillsong Church. As such, the Communist Party of Australia and the church formed a united front for organised pedophilia, resulting in the formation of PI. PI then infiltrated UK's National Council Civil Liberties, supposedly in support of the gay movement, but was later found to be damaging to gay rights and was officially disbanded in the UK in 1984, but not in Australia. The protection process. So this is leading up to our Royal Commission that at the time that I was writing this is everything that transpired up to that point. Leading up to the formation of PI in Australia, 2 related Royal Commissions were held. The first was the Brisbane National Hotel Royal Commission in 1993, where Justice Harry Talbot Gibbs found no impropriety, even though school children and their parents across Brisbane knew what went on behind the National Hotel doors. Another decade would pass as the network gained more momentum and claimed more victims. The New South Wales Moffat Royal Commission into Organised Crime in Licensed Clubs came about in 1970s. Again, the justice found no impropriety, even though a member of Parliament was known to be actively engaged in child prostitution, racketeering, bribery and extortion. Protected by the Royal Family's Network by letters patent, Australia's branch unhindered. I'm going to explain what the letters patent are next, but I just want to quickly run through all of these investigations or commissions of inquiry that happened. Some of them were not governed by letters patent, but I'll come to that in a moment. In 1982, the independent Fitzgerald inquiry into possible illegal activities and associated police misconduct in Queensland inadvertently exposed an elaborate multi-million-dollar scheme of kickbacks from illegal activities, including child prostitution, yet no charges were ever laid for child SA or human trafficking. Let that sink in. This was an independent inquiry which had nothing to do with the letters patent and the Royal Commissions. It was completely independent. As far as can be ascertained, the network continued to operate the decade. In 1995, Justice James Wood, whose connection to the pedo network would remain a secret for another 20 years, was appointed to the Royal Commission in New South Wales police corruptions. For those in America who don't get it, Queensland, New South Wales, they're different states. What's going on here is this corruption is all over Australia. It's in every state. The letter patent says in this particular one, this is only for New South Wales. Even though it was a Royal Commission, which is federal, they're only allowed to look into New South Wales. And I'll get to that in a minute, the letters patent limiting the scope. That Wood explained his own reasoning for not following up any leads at that time as essentially a bunch of baseless claims by hysterical women. And he took that approach, I'll just add this, he took that approach because this is the satanic panic era. So a lot of the complaints that were made involved ritual SA. And so he took the approach of this is just satanic panic, basically. But he would be exposed eventually as well. For another decade, the network continued to operate under the radar. So I'm going in 10-year increments, in case you didn't notice. In 2004, the Australian Crime Commission also refused to look into yet more victim complaints. As was noted by the Speaker of the South Australian Parliament, victims or witnesses were being bumped off, that is, murdered and viciously assaulted, quicker than I or the people who were helping me could get them to write down their allegations. More than a decade would pass before the network would come under the spotlight again. In the 2013 Royal Commission, the current one that I was triggered by, into institutional responses to sexual abuse, well, I wasn't supposed to say it, and I did, commenced. However, as we are now witnessing, members of Parliament and the judiciary are still protected, and the promised action leading to these VIP networks has been thrown out and the victims ridiculed. So the institutional secondary abuse, victimization was happening at the very time that I was writing these articles. Okay, I'm going to move now to the next tab. Oop. Oop. Did I switch it off? Oop. Oop. Okay, next tab. I'm just going to talk about the letters patent, how it limits the royal commissions as to what they can and can't look at. So if excuse me, if they happen to discover something else going on, they're not allowed to look at it, because the letters patent define the scope of what they're allowed to look at. And the royal commissions are supposed to put forth recommendations to the government on how to deal with the issues that the commission has addressed. So the ongoing government impunity. Now, you guys are experiencing this right now when we find, police are actually protected by similar impunity. So I'm not telling you anything you don't know here. The terms of reference play a specific role in any royal commission. They are delivered by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in her letters patent, who, contrary to popular belief, does not necessarily play only a ceremonious role in Australia. All commission inquiries are restricted to the specific terms set out in the letters patent. For example, the letters patent limited the Brisbane National Hotel Royal Commission 1963 by not requiring the commission to consider the policing of child prostitution, or to examine corruption in relation to members of the government or the judiciary. While the majority of Brisbane school children and parents knew exactly what went on behind the doors of the National Hotel, no impropriety was found because of the letters patent. And again, with the Moffat Royal Commission, same thing again. It wasn't until the independent Fitzgerald inquiry, some 20 years later, that a high-level organised crime ring involving child sex trafficking by high-profile members of the community was revealed. It wasn't limited by the terms of reference in previous probes because it was an inquiry, but it still failed to expose anything to do with these crimes. The Fitzgerald inquiry did, however, open the floodgates, as many more victims became encouraged to come forward and were given an opportunity to describe the crime rings in more detail. The public responded by demanding the pedophile information network, political parties, be disbanded, forcing the crime ring further underground than ever before in history, ultimately causing the nature of the violence against children to escalate tenfold. And as the betrayal became the norm, total victim reports of child SA also decreased by half. So, and this is what it has to do with some we are discussing now. We have already mentioned previously that when we re-victimize victims, reporting gets reduced. We know this happens in Australia. We know it happens in America. Every time you do these things to the victims, they are re-victimized. Other people see that they're being re-victimized, so they don't want to come out and say anything, and it goes on and on and on. Aside of all of that, this is the climate. These are our leaders, okay? These are the people in our communities. The Royal Commission turned into a witch hunt after all the churches, okay? Because the letters patent by the Queen limited it to that. That's who the institutions were run by during those periods. So what we're saying is our leaders in our churches, in our communities, in our states, in our federal government, everybody was doing this stuff to children. So now tell me what Don's parents would have thought when they were advised he was, say, the 8 or 9 age group, when children become more interested in sexuality. Let's talk about what is it that Don's parents would have taught him. They have taught him what we know today as appropriate and inappropriate touching, or would they have just swept it under the rug like everybody else was doing, including all of our leaders?
Yeah. Hard to say. Really hard to say. I think
Hard to say.
they have, in a lot of areas in America, they have their own sort of homesteaded traditions, or not traditions, more customs. And I know from speaking to several different women from the Appalachia or around that area, that there is there's pressure put on the girls as they're becoming teenagers, and a lot of times it's towards a man that's older, that's already established. Maybe he's got a house already and a car and a good job, and so there's certain areas of Appalachia where it's acceptable, or was more acceptable, to have an older man and your daughter go to court, and you would consent for them. You'd sign a consent for her to marry an older man, a much older man sometimes. So, there.
Well, it's not even still limited back to back then, because we've got a current highly charged political debate going on, with people saying they don't want appropriate and inappropriate touching being taught in the schools, that it's too invasive, that it's taking away parents' rights to teach their children what they want to teach them. I would ask you, Benny, if a neighbour's kid, okay, you've got a 5-year-old, the neighbour's kid comes over and he's 9-year-old and he's inappropriately touching your 5-year-old, how are you going to deal with that? Are you going to put your neighbour offside by trying to educate their kid about what you think is appropriate and inappropriate?
Well, I mean, I think that any genitalia touching is not appropriate.
It's normal. Please, it's normal. Let me just show it. Let me just show another thing on the screen.
In respect
Go ahead.
No, hold on. It's kind of a loaded. Hold on. It was kind of a loaded question. So, would I sit there and let?
It is absolutely.
Whoa. Would I sit there and let a child fondle my child? No. Would I sit there and let another child or my child fondle another child? Of course not. So that's kind of a loaded question, but I do know, I understand what you mean. But I think that there has to be a healthy standard to teach children that, it's kind of, it's not even so much about inappropriate touching more than it is, the kind of the school rules, like you keep your hands and your feet and your objects to yourself, right? It's that sort of thing. Like, I don't think that I don't think I would advocate for that scenario. Now, I think that probably really
right.
what
it's
the
a very
issue
tricky
is,
situation, because you don't.
Now, what I'm saying is
you don't want to be telling someone else's kid. The point that I'm making is you don't want to be telling someone else's kid something that that you're comfortable telling your kid. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's something you would have to approach the child's parents and see how they want to talk to their kid about it. And if they don't want to approach it with their kid, it's not really your choice. You've got to make the choice. Well, I just can't have that kid in my house anymore if the parents aren't going to talk to them. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, and I just, yeah, I do. I got you. I do completely understand.
Can you put?
I already.
Can you put my share?
I have a huge cognitive bias already because of the way that America has always, not always, but for as long as I've been alive, these welfare systems, they've been weaponized against families, and so I think that America, about the time that you couldn't spank your child in public anymore, that was about the time that these boundaries came up that now kind of supersede what we can remember back to. Right now, I do remember a time growing up where it was not unheard of to hear, oh, well, your boy cousin and your girl cousin, maybe they got in the closet and they played doctor or whatever. It was not a malicious gratification being sought. It wasn't nothing like that. It was exploratory, I guess. Correct. You would say.
can you put my share screen on up, because it's actually going into exactly what you're talking about. I want you to put this. This is psychiatry. This is psychiatry. This is not a belief system where, you know, it's religion versus whatever. This is just plain psychiatry and childhood behaviors. Okay. It's not about how you should or shouldn't deal with stuff. It's just this is the age groups that it falls into. In children aged 2 through to 6 years, we have normal and common behaviors that occur during these age groups, as you can see in the left-hand column, in the blue column. Then you've got less common, still normal behaviors in the green column. And then you've got uncommon behaviors in normal children in the orange column. So these are all things that you are likely to see exhibited by children of varying ages up to 6 years, to rarely normal in the pink column. And I don't really want to read them out, but I did want to just put them on the screen and point out what are the red flag behaviors. Parents need to know when a child's behavior appears more than harmless curiosity. So when I was listening to the stories being told about Don, I was wondering where he fell on this scale. And we don't have an exact age difference between him and the sister, because he gives us the impression there's only 3 or 4 years age difference, which puts her at 5 and him at 9. So these are fairly normal behaviors for a 9-year-old, unless a parent pulls them up.
Correct.
And hang on, I'll just make this bigger so people can see it, since I'm expecting them to read it. And the sister says that there was a 7 or 8 age gap, which puts him, you know, at pre-teens, pre-adolescent teens. Still, you still have to wonder, was he getting any of this education from his parents? And I'm going to say no. And I'm not exactly going to say his parents were responsible, because they weren't living in this culture today. Like, we're going through a new culture, a satanic panic culture of this SA stuff right now today. You know, this is what Chris McDonough wants to feed into. He wants this to be a panic culture.
He does. He wants it to be an SA panic culture. Now, what I've been having a problem with, because let me tell, I don't even know how many people are here, but let me tell you how very simple we could actually do it here in like the next 2 minutes. We're not going to, because that would involve doxing Don and his sister, but we could find out right now, and I use that reference, you know, to explain how quickly we could do it. We could find out the exact age difference. And the fact that has never really, the fact that that's not a known detail that we all know readily, and that there's no argument on, like orange is orange, like, you know what I mean? It's definitive, it's concrete. That seems to be a problem for me, because I think that there, you always have to leave room for the ideal that someone would make a certain kind of allegation wholeheartedly and honestly, but not understand the dynamics of the way the law works. Is that a potential?
Exactly. Thank you, Benny. That's exactly what I was going to say. The age difference makes a difference. Like, if we're going to say, let's forget that this all happened in the 80s with attitudes, let's move it forward to today and say it happened today. Is there any law in America right now that the police could go and arrest him on if he was 9 and she was 5? No, there isn't, is there?
There's not.
What about if he was,
unfortunately?
What about if he was 13 and she was 5? Is there any current law that the police could go and arrest with right now with that?
I mean, it's juvenile time.
All right, because
it's juvenile time. You know,
correct.
Like you're not going to be able to give Don a Tennessee Youth Commission, and I don't know if that's what they call it, but in here in Texas they call it TYC. That's the kiddie prison. Texas Youth Commission. That's where you're in the reform school, right?
Right.
And you know, And I want to add on, and I want you to remind me. I wanted to add on to was it you that sent me some stuff about? Oh no, it was Cherry. Cherry, she sent me a video, and what it talked about is some of the different things. Like I hear a lot, and this is not to cut you off, but it's right here, and I want to talk about this right now. Everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad the boys have been taken. They're so safe now." Do we think beyond a reasonable doubt? Like, have we never heard of the ills that go on in foster homes and the foster the foster care arena, right? Like that some of the worst things you've ever heard of happen in foster homes, right? So you look at a situation where the public feels calmed and relaxed about the fact that the boy's been taken away from their family. But really what that is it's a psychological issue where you have something in your head for the family, right? Because would it not be the ultimate disgust if we, at the end of this, something happened to those boys in foster that never happened to them at any time, right? So we have the setup for the ultimate victimization, right? Now, let's hypothesize for a moment. And it's not a far stretch because the Wells are still out of prison. So let's say it just stays this way for 10 years, right? So now what happens? They lost their daughter, and then they have their boys who could have went through something in foster that they didn't have to go through, right? So this is the
Well, you can even rewind it back further. You can even rewind it back further. They've already been through this when Candace lost her sister.
Facts. This family hasn't been victimized, right? Like, you even, Miss Bly, she's been missing for however long, and guess what? It died down. But as soon as her niece went missing, now they're disrespecting her own disappearance, right? It's like it's beyond the scope. Like, how many people do the Wells have to lose mysteriously just due to circumstance in the world, years apart, right? And then never go to prison for, like, these open cases, right? Like, these people are better at getting caught than they are at committing the crime, the pre-said crime. So, like, it's insane, the level of the veracity that people use on the Wells family. And it's all because they're just a lower socioeconomic, or because, they've grown up in a crazy history of adverse child experiences. They come from a long line of dysfunction in a lot of places in America, not just there, right here next door to me. Anywhere in America, there's crazy dysfunction.
Remember, we were talking about the 80s where crazy dysfunction was being practiced by all of our leaders as well, all our community leaders, right, and our legislators and our judges and our
everybody was
serious. It's crazy. Like in America, in America, the judiciary didn't escape the like in 2018 when we had our Royal Commission and we were trying to protect all our judges and members of Parliament, etc. America was actually catching them. And there was over 100 that I found. I'd written articles about those too. There was over 100 that I found were judges and lawyers and people in the military and leaders of churches and leaders of Boy Scouts, and oh my God, it just went on, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Whereas in Australia, we still have a culture of protecting them. America did reach out and, grab a hold of them. And, one of the, has anyone heard of Justice Scalia? He's an American Supreme Court justice. If anyone's heard of him, he was one of them.
Wow. Let me show you this real quick. If people think that this satanic panic or this SA panic is not real, there is there is some evidence to back up the claim that there is systemic SA abuse in age old organizations like the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts of America is one step closer to plan a get out of bankruptcy after a Delaware judge on Thursday signed off on a $850 million settlement agreement the organization reached last month with a majority of attorneys for SA abuse claimants in the case.
Kitty, I just want to add to that. Yes, he passed away, and rumor has it the way he passed away was due to one of his victims getting a hold of him as an adult.
Let's see what we got here.
Well, don't open that can of worms. Jesus.
Hold on. 5.
This is what they've done.
Abusive after the church priests in the U.S. This is just Catholicism, though. So 5,000 abusive
They go after
priests.
They go after the churches because the churches ran all the institutions for the orphans and the adoption agencies and the forced adoption agencies and all that stuff that went on in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. Women were told that because they're hysterical, they have to have their baby taken off them as soon as it comes out of her womb.
Facts.
And adopted to somebody else, stuff like that.
Facts.
So when we're talking about dysfunction, we're not talking about one particular family had a dysfunction. We are talking about the whole world had a dysfunction.
Right. And they just didn't, a lot of people just haven't gotten out of it, quite yet, I mean, come on. We just actually there was just a set of first cousins, and I think they're Mormons, and they're from out in Utah, I think, but they're actually facing, I think, felony charges now because they are with child now. She's pregnant, so they actually they're facing some felony stuff, and I'm sure that probably even before the child, the CPS is going to be involved while it's neonatal. So, it's a crazy climate, and we have so much culturing for little girls especially, but there's so much culturing these days because guess what? They spend a lot of time on the tablets themselves, or they spend a lot of time over mom and dad's shoulder looking at whatever mom and dad's looking at. So, you really have this pressure on young girls. And nowadays here in the States now, Aussie, I don't know about they're in the Queensland, but we have syndicated HPV commercials, get your daughter and your son, but they're after the little girls. They want to get the women HPV vaccinated so that there's no risk of any.
That was my next gripe about Malcolm Turnbull, but I didn't scroll down to it or read it. But to me, that seemed that he was pushing these HPV vaccines because his wife actually owns a share in the company that manufactures them.
Right.
And he was pushing these HPVs. At the same time, he's pushing all this sexual content, explicit content on the television, of this stuff in school grounds and stuff. He's pushing these teen HPV vaccines for his wife's bloody commercial profit. So that was actually, I didn't scroll down and read that part because that was a complete diversion from what I was trying to get at. But I do get where you're coming from with that. That's another contriversial topic. Again, not because it's a vaccine, but because
it's sexually
the age
motivated
that they're trying to get.
They want the young ones. It's essentially like a sexually motivated vaccine, and the first time I saw it I was just like, oh wow. But what was strange about it was that the it's sort of like the socioeconomic that it was aimed towards was Caucasian. And looking at things like I do all things, I'm like, well, where's, I think they ended up making another one that did have an ethnic range in it, but it was like the first one I saw, the groundbreaking, the ribbon cutting was it just was, it was insensitive. And it was just like, wow. But guys, check this out.
In Australia, the age for the HPV is mandated at 12 to 13.
Yeah.
And, you know, how many 12 to 13-year-olds do you know have an STD? Like, for fuck's sake.
You just don't.
You know,
I want everybody.
they're barely past inappropriate touching. You know what I mean? They're only at the age of inappropriate touching. Why are we injecting them with a sexually transmitted disease?
Right. So I wanted to, yeah, good point. I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. So this is a thing in Tennessee, in Centerville, Tennessee. In fact, at the he's the youth pastor. I mean, that would be the key. That would be the key, I guess, sort of position to hold if that was what you wanted to do. You'd move to Tennessee and where everything's just a little bit slower in the city, and you would get arrested in a human trafficking operation, you know, with 18 other men. That's by the TBI. So the reason I bring this up is because, you know, this was July 14th, right? So
150 kids were recovered in that operation. In just Tennessee alone, 150 Tennessee kids were recovered in this operation.
Facts. Big facts. Big facts. Like, come on now. This man, he attempted to have sex with a minor. Like, that's bad, right? This is him, right? You'd trust your kids with him, right? Lots of people did.
Holy fuck, he's a minister.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You got a different meaning for minister, eh? Sorry.
So, you know, there you go. TBI knows how to do it.
He's a minister, as in a religious leader.
Yeah.
In Australia, a minister is a religious leader, but they're also a member of parliament, like the minister for communications or the minister for
like the president.
Yeah.
No, yeah, not president.
Yeah, they work up in the upper cabinet of parliament. Yeah,
right. I wanted to take a moment to just reiterate. Let me come back over here. Listen, it's on the bottom.
If you can't trust your pastor, you got to switch to spaghetti, mate.
That's it. Now, guys, if you have any tips, or you have any information that you think is viable at this point, don't do the heavy lifting. Don't handle it by yourself. Call this number right here, 1-800-TBI-FIND, or you can submit a tip at tips2TBI@tennessee.gov. It is imperative that you not allow anything else to come out of the vacuum of this deal here. This thing, it has become the most disgusting, next level situation, you know, that I've witnessed. Like the one that Aussie and I just came from. No, the one before. The last one was ugly too. What am I talking about? It's progressively ramped up and
getting uglier.
It is, and you know, there's so many things that culture that environment to be like that. You know, you have coming, you know, the impending Delta variant. You have just a lot of societal pressures and stress, and you know, domestic violence is way up. People are spending all their time on the internet. They've done it for a year now. Now we're back in looking at it. We don't know how long we could be down again. So, you know, it's going to be hard as a race and as you know, the human race. It's going to be hard for us to pull ourselves back up to the same level of activity that's stimulating for our brains, and that's, you know, like this ends up having sort of a cataclysmic trickle down, right? Because when you're not eating right and you're not out and you're not functioning and you're not moving and you're here on the internet and we're stressing ourselves out with all the everything that you could pile on yourself, and you know, it's gotten to that point, guys. Like, enough has to be enough. Like, if you can't come online and you can't handle a child's affairs appropriately enough, it says a lot about,
and
responsibly enough, it says a lot about the way you may or may not handle your own child's affairs. Like this is, I'm seeing some of these, there's some male creator, and it's crazy because there's like a few male creators, but then like mostly female creators. And then it's like most of the commenters and the subscribers and the followers and the believers and all of that, the teammates, they're mostly women. So it's like, I don't know, like I'm not here to validate myself in front of any of you ladies. You all know that, right? Like I come in out of the garden, right? Sweating. Like I'm not here to validate myself to any women. I'm here to preserve justice. Number one. Advocate for victims. Number two. Right? And then a far cry way on down the list is look at things from a criminal inspector's point of view. Like that's not what I'm here for. I started out doing that, and it was very, very unproductive. Right? It produced a lot of the wrong stuff. Right? In this case, it has a different dynamic because we have a family that is being victimized while trying to keep the agenda and keep their child's face in the media. Like it's beyond, right? It's beyond.
It is.
It cannot, like I can't imagine a case where it be any worse than this unless the public pressure one of these victims of an abducted child into hurting themselves. Like that's the next pinnacle, right? So, go sign the petition, right? Like, I know that we've put a lot of stuff on you tonight. We really have put a lot of stuff on you, but there just is.
I want to apologize to anybody that I triggered or upset or made this difficult to listen to. But we did have a mission to put things into perspective, because there's a then and there's a now, and the intention certainly wasn't to put you back then. The intention was just to make sure that we are looking at this with a balanced point of view.
Yeah.
And it sort of piggybacks on some earlier things Penny was saying, like not just what Don's parents might or might not have taught him, but that he might have been a victim of it him. And because we do know that this some types of abuse can be hereditary, not in the gene sense of hereditary, but in the learned behavior sense of hereditary. So and this was something that Benny pulled up way early in the piece when the essay first came up, asking, that question, what was being done to Don. Because like one of the things that I didn't agree with that Chris M was saying is that a 9-year-old child, if that's how old he was when it started, or even a 13-year-old child, has any kind of predatory grooming behavior down pat. Chris was saying, oh yeah, this is the most common type of grooming pattern. And I'm like, well, dude, where's the 13-year-old kid learning these patterns? Right. Even a 9-year-old kid, they're not fucking looking up on the internet how to groom a 5-year-old, are they? He's learned it from somewhere. And I thought that Benny had an exact point when he said that.
Yeah, I the dynamic is it's really gotten out of control, and these victims, they actually live in a world where if they don't talk, they're guilty. If they talk, everything's going to be scrutinized and manipulated, and ultimately they're guilty. So it's really it's
right. We saw that with the West. The West decided they wouldn't talk. They decided they were going to exercise their rights, and these are rights in America, to not speak to the media. And so they had people standing outside their house hurling shit at their front door and their windows and smashing windows and
drinking and doing
those
drugs
people didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. And So they had no choice. They were forced to stand in front of the media. They weren't interviewed quietly in their own lounge room, in their own environment, and ask, passive questions as the media is supposed to do. They were stuck out there on the street, out where it wasn't safe, surrounded by a gang. And I mean a gang. I'm talking proper gang
Yeah, like the
bangers.
Crips.
And people shaking fists at them where they were unsafe, and they were expected to behave completely normal. And so they shut down and they said, all right, no, we're not going to talk to the media. That was shit. Now everybody's hanging them saying, oh, they must have done it because now they won't speak to the media. So we saw that unfold, didn't we, Benny, in real time?
Yeah, we did. And it was a really sad thing. Like you had sort of this sentiment from the Cal City Police that they weren't there to protect the family from the mob onlookers. They were here to look for the boys. And those things, when you see that sentiment, like if I was police chief and somebody's kid went missing and one person made a threatening video, guess what? I'm going to stay up at nighttime till I figure out how to burn up anybody that's sending threats towards a victim. Like it's part of it, right? It's an accumulative deal, right? Like it just, damn, man.
So Benny, can you just have a look at your text? Because I think Cam wants you to check to say something, and I think it might be on this topic, but just check your text. Messages if it's related to what we're talking about. I think he wants you to say something about it. I don't know.
Hold on. Yo, bro, Allison sent okay, that's what those numbers are. All right. Okay, I'm gonna bear with me, okay? You guys just bear with me for a minute. I want to okay.
Lizzie said something just before that I would like to have repeated, but it's gone off my screen and I can't scroll back to
it. There's a gentleman that's causing considerable trouble for this family, man, and it makes me sick. So what I wanted to do is I'm getting the informations now. Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Allison. I'm sorry. Oh man. So have you ever met somebody that you're sure probably as a little kid was like, you know what? I just know I'm different than other people and I'm just going to be famous. I don't care what it's for. I just want to fucking be famous. Right. So there are different ways that you can, adapt yourself to the life on the big screen. Okay. Now, hold on, man. So, hold on. So we got this guy, right? This fucking guy. No, wait. Don't do this. Yeah, not now. Hold on.
We're holding. Take your time. Nesha.
All right. So, like, you guys getting it right here, right? This is WATE 6 on your side. So you've got that. Now there's another one that's huh?
Whoa.
Yeah. Right. So hold on. There's
you guys always saying everything in Australia kills you. What the fuck?
Well, it's just to be superstar,
we don't have none of
right?
those now.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. It's to be fucking famous for something. Even if it's being eaten up by a fucking bear. Hold on. So
right.
Then we got this other thing. Hold on. That's the bear one. Hold on. Oh man, just bear with me, guys. No pun intended. Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Don't hold your breath. But this is going to be COVID related, so no pun intended there either. Hold on a fucking second. Wait a fucking minute. Seaver County.
You're on a roll, man.
Says he's recovering from COVID-19. A Seaver County man said he's on the mend after being diagnosed with coronavirus. Don Buchanan said doctors initially diagnosed him with bronchitis last month, but once he got a fever, they wanted him to test for the virus. 6 days later, he got a positive result, and he's been isolating with his family since.
Whoa. So what happened? Hang on. Right, scroll back and show me the date.
But see,
what date was
this? But see, the connotation is that there's a lot of people that say he didn't even have COVID. So hold on.
Was he tripping around in freaking another county while he had these symptoms?
Probably so. Let's see.
Hey, 321 Mick. Kingsport resident there, Benny.
He also said that he was the first oh, hold on. Huh. So you would think that it would probably just stop there. No, this guy, I think he wants to be.
We didn't hear any of that.
You didn't hear none of it?
We didn't hear any of that.
Wait a minute.
No, we're all sitting here holding on. Holding on.
Shit. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, that's okay.
Wait.
Tell us what it said.
Wait. I'm going to allow you.
Sevier County man says he's on the mend after he was diagnosed with coronavirus. Don Buchanan says doctors initially diagnosed him with bronchitis last month, but once he got a fever, they wanted him to be tested for coronavirus, and 6 days later he got back results positive. Those aren't the results he wanted. He says his symptoms were mild. He never had to be admitted to the hospital. He and his family self-isolated and still are, even though the state says they've recovered, since they've been fever-free for more than 3 days.
We've all just been self-isolating even after that, because we've had some people bringing us groceries or whatever, and we just were.
I bet you have.
With the Order 22 in place, we're still doing that, and just trying to stay here at home and hunker down.
So that's you like there again. Did you hear that? So you would think that it would.
Yeah, we heard it that time.
Okay, so you would think you guys. Oh, you didn't hear the bear. Oh shit! Hold on, I didn't know that you. You should have said. Hold on. Wait. Just wait.
Yeah, we didn't hear the
Just
bear.
wait a minute. Look at this. Just wait a damn minute. He's gonna be famous for something, even if it's for being bear poop.
Yep, we can hear it.
Got my truck.
Yeah, get out of my truck. Hold on now. You know what? I actually have an accent that's probably pretty close to that, but when I come online, I really try to go with like Midwest Chicago with a little dash of Dallas. But hold on, let me now. Right. Hold on now. Hold the phone. Now we got another one, and this other one, it's starting to look like I don't know. Maybe I'm out here to be on the news, to be famous, and I'm trying to get a lawsuit. Let me just maybe I'm trying to get a lawsuit. I don't know, but let's go ahead and now I'm not trying to minimize anything about any sort of chillins, right? Chillins at all, chillins, right? No. But this is hold on. I'm so close.
Millie Mel. It makes me think crisis actors are real.
Hold on, crisis. Hey, fucking crisis actors are real. Now, hold on now. I'm trying to tell you. Hold on now. Just wait a fucking minute now. Load my emails.
We are missing a. That's fucking going so fast. Like we're missing so many comments. I'm sorry to people if we've missed your comments.
Hold on now.
Things are zooming past now.
Why isn't my shit loading? Hold on. I got too many damn of my emails open now.
You got too many tabs.
Here we go. Yeah, I got too many tabs. That's what I'm gonna say now. Hold on. Oh, here we go. So I know that you're not going to be able to hear this shit because I've got a billion tabs open currently. No, thank you. This will be the only time that I come over here. So, well, maybe one more other time in case somebody else wants to see this. So, a Seaverville family believes a day at a public pool sent their daughter to the emergency room with chemical burns. Hold on. And again, I'm not I'm just, this is public record. Shit. Hold on.
It was supposed to be a day of fun in the sun for 13-year-old Madison Buchanan.
It's better now, but when I get like in the sunlight and like with the heat, it just kind of like hurts a little bit.
But instead, she's stuck inside after an evening in the hospital being treated for what her parents believe are chlorine burns.
Last night she had
Where?
A very long night.
Don Buchanan says they took Madison to swimming at a Park pool in Sevierville.
You're trying to live.
That's in crisis.
Her body being on fire, which I thought was just kind of like a sunburn.
Then that pain spread to the
Her body
inside of her
was on
mouth and
fire.
throat.
It was like a stinging pain. It was like somebody's like burning you.
At the hospital, doctors ran blood tests and gave her Benadryl and a dose of steroids. They told the family the symptoms are consistent with chemical burns. But city officials say they've had certified pool operators checking the water, and they haven't found any elevated levels.
Of course they haven't.
A city spokesperson says they are confident in the chemistry.
Of course they are. Hold the phone. Wait a minute. Do you want to see? Hold on. Don't play with me. I'm sick.
Shut the damn door.
Chlorine burn. You want to see what a chlorine burn looks like? Fuck you mean. Don't those all look the same? I would assume that all the pools that contain these chemistries were wrong.
Shit, eh? Sorry, I'm in crisis actor.
Wait. That's what he is. Hold on, wait. Just wait. Her body's on fire. What you just thought was like a sunburn. She doesn't even have a sunburn, Don. Look at her. Like she's just barely pink. Hold on. Wait a minute. They ran blood tests.
Yeah.
Wait.
So we're not hearing it now.
Hold on.
You've lost the sound.
Hold on. Boom.
No chemical burns that are visible
There's
there.
no chemical burns there. So, to my friend Nelson, I told my friend Nelson that this guy had it was a new style of haircut. It was called with a hat. It's called looks like a full head of hair with a hat. All right. Sorry. Chasing truth.
There you go.
I was just alerted that someone
Thanks
made
for those videos, Pam.
Thank you for that, guys. I was just informed that someone made one of the ugliest comments I think I've ever heard of in Chasing Truths last live. So if somebody just hit me with the cash, let's see who's in the Cash App gang. Hold on. Who's in the Cash App gang? Where are we at here? Holy shit. What? Wow. Okay. Well, anyways.
Hey, you know what? I'm just going to add to the conversation that's going on in the chat. A couple of weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, or actually a month or so ago, Benny, I put some makeup on, and it had been sitting here because I don't usually wear makeup, only if I'm going to go on a live or whatever. It's been sitting here festering for like 10 years, and I went to wipe it on my face right next to my nose, and I could smell it. It was really bad. I was like, holy crap, this stuff's gone off. So I wiped it off my face, and then about a week later, I got this scaly patch on my face, and I started scratching. It was itchy and scaly, and I was like, what's that? And then when I looked in the mirror, it was neat shape of my finger, like how I'd wipe the makeup, went to wipe the makeup on my face.
Burn right
this
there.
neat shape of my finger imprinted on my face in a fungus. And then I looked it up, and I was like, holy shit, makeup goes fungus. If you keep it for too long in warm climates, it goes fungus. So I got this like fungus on my face, and it ended up getting so big and fat on my face.
You had jock itch on your
It covered my whole cheek. I noticed it. It covered my whole cheek before I noticed it. So anyway, I started treating it, and then my kids came back from Queensland. Like my grandkids moved back down here from Queensland, and they're like, "Come, Grandma," and I'm like, "I can't because I got a fungus, and you're gonna catch me. I can't spread this fungus around." And when I scratched my face in my sleep, I scratched my leg, and I transferred it to my leg. So now I got fungus on my fucking leg. And my daughter's still going, the kids want to see you. And I'm like, well, I know they do, but I can't keep spreading this fucking I'm spreading it on myself. I don't want to go spread it everywhere else. But anyway.
You poor thing.
I just wanted to let the lady know, check your goddamn makeup, man.
Check your makeup.
Because there's shit growing in it.
Hey, you know what? And I want to take a poll real quick before we leave, guys. I appreciate everyone. I didn't even watch the chat. I'll get back with everybody after that. But I have 2 questions I want to poll you guys, right? Because there's only 2 types of humans, okay? So do you like when you make your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, all right? Do you do jelly first and then peanut butter? Or do you do peanut butter first and then jelly? Do one for...
It's not even a thing in Australia.
Well,
sorry.
Here in America,
it's an American thing.
I
can't wait.
I just want to know.
We got goober grape. Got goober grape where it's actually swirled together in the jar, and you don't get a choice.
Right. I want to put some in there. Do you do peanut butter and then jelly, or jelly and then peanut butter? You can leave it in the comments. I'm
come on, folks. Educate me.
I will. I will. The other thing is when you drink a soda or a beer out of a can, do you wipe off the thing, or do you in your mind think that when you get it out of the thing, it's clean for you to drink on? I'm going to enter a third one. And this really only applies to men. So ladies, this is for you to poll your man after you get off of here. Ask your man, say, hun, when was the last time you cut your nails? Now, if you ever wanted to know if he was feminine or not, if you say, hun, when's the last time you cut your nails, and he is feminine,
we lost your voice. You're gone. You went quiet after. If he is feminine, then you cut out. You're gone, Benny. I don't know if I want to finish the sentence for him because I actually don't know what he was going to say. If he's feminine,
There.
he'll say, I cut my nails yesterday.
So,
You're back.
yes. So, feminine men, women, poll your man. Is he an alpha guy or is he a beta guy? So, a beta guy, when you ask him if he's cut his nails, he'll look at them like this. A masculine man will curl his head and do like this. That's masculine. This is feminine. Please pull your men. Get to know who you lay in the bed next with every night. Next to, rather. So, remember, guys, for the beautiful, exotic, Australian goddess, Aussie insider, and for the extraordinarily handsome Benjamin Blood Money Keys. We'll be signing out. Thank you for hanging through all of the education. Thank you for making it full circle. You know, we're always going to have a good time here. And we're always going to do our business at the same time. So remember, you know, this is a message to Don and Candace. It's okay to smile. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to enjoy something. You don't have to beat yourself down and be guilty and feel guilty for enjoying.
Hey, Benny, on that topic, can I piggyback on that topic and get maybe a reaction from the audience?
Where do you get them? Hey, Francis Prime from
I would like to.
used car pricing with new car interest rates.
Go ahead.
Financing of 6 months. Choose from over.
Oh, we can hear your TV or something. I can't hear myself.
There he goes.
Ah! Multitasking doesn't work with these, unfortunately. I just want to ask the audience, would you like us to do a light-hearted stream on some pop culture court cases that could relate to the true crime genre? Type of 1 if you want to hear some, you know, next stream, a light-hearted reflection on some court cases in the pop culture genre.
Spivey. Hey, Spivey. Hey, Spivey.
Type of 1 if it interests, A2 if it's not interesting. Oh, we got all 1 so far.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I've got 3 pop culture cases. Okay, 2 involve a jury. So I've got a criminal pop culture case, involves a jury. I've got a civil pop culture case, involves a jury, and I've got a what the fuck is it? Family court case. I guess you could call it. It's probation. It's 2 different courts actually, but anyway, Britney Spears. Okay, everyone knows it's the Britney Spears case. Yes, Britney Spears is the 3rd case. So in all 3 of those cases, you know, there's stuff we can talk about where the public has played a role in those cases, how much the public's played a role in those cases, and they're all current cases, so they're not concluded yet. So we're going to be able to have a say whether we think they're going to affect the outcome of those cases and have an opinion on that, and just basically, you know, have a light-hearted conversation about some of the cases. So what do you reckon, Benny?
I reckon whatever you ladies want to do. I do want to take a moment to mention that anything that I used from the news media falls under the fair use doctrine. And in the fair use doctrine in the United States copyright law, it allows limited use of copyright material without requiring permission from the rights holders, such as or for commentary, criticism, news reporting, research, teaching, or talking shit.
Or talking shit.
So yes, guys, leave it in the chat or the comments. I want to leave that up to you guys. You know, whichever pop culture case, you know, and there's always stuff going on in the pop culture world. These These fucking celebrities, they get on whatever drugs they get out there and they just turn a nut. And the shit going on in Hollywood is not even allowed anywhere else except for Hollywood. So, you know,
whoever just wrote, they sent an Etsy care pack to Don and Candace. Thank you. It's gone off the screen already, and I can't scroll.
Where you at?
Scroll down. It's, I don't know, way back because it's going too fast.
Can someone please?
Whoever said that they sent the care,
absolutely
the care pack,
Brandy, absolutely. In fact, hold on, I'll screenshot this and then I will send it to the appropriate avenue immediately. Thank you for that, and thank you for the super chat as well. Well, guys, hello, Monkey Mar. Let's go ahead.
Hello, Monkey Mar.
Let's go ahead and we'll close this out for the night. I do want to ask that everyone, Lindsay. Yeah, you know what? I always have thought that, like, I actually dated a girl one time. Her name was Lindsay, and it was just like that's what everyone said, and it was like, oh god, that's cool. Anyways, yeah, leave it in the chat what the next what the first pop culture case will be. And I tell you what, if you do pick Britney Spears, or
I've already got them listed here.
Oh, okay.
I've already got them listed here.
Okay, well then you guys,
just because I know enough about these three cases. Whereas if anyone makes a suggestion, I've got to go research it to be able to talk about it. So the three cases, I'll just leave it. We'll leave it on this note. The three cases, the criminal case involving a lot of publicity is the what's his name? I've forgotten his name. Bobby Durst. Okay, Robert Durst.
Oh yeah,
the criminal
We
case.
Gotta do Bobby Durst. We gotta do Bobby Durst.
Publicity. It's had a movie. It's had freaking a docuseries. So that's a lot of publicity around that one.
The Jinx.
The Jinx, correct. And then there is the civil case between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And then that one will involve a jury, and it's being held in Virginia. And then there's the Britney Spears case, and that's the probate courts, and that's going to be a whole lot of stuff to do with family courts getting involved. And well, the Britney Spears stuff is deep, man, like really deep. And of course, paying a lot of publicity.
Okay, so we just got the receipt right now. I'm sorry, Lizzie. We are not done yet. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. So.
Yeah, Monkey Ma, he's so boring to listen to. He's like, he drags everything out much. Robert Durst.
Oh,
he's fucking horrible to listen to.
Yeah, he really is. Check this out, guys. So this. Ah, you son of a bitch. Sorry, guys. This is worth it.
When the defense comes up and says their first question to him is, "Did you kill Suzanne Berman?" And he goes, "No." And then the first question the prosecution asks is, I just thought it was hilarious. The first question the prosecution asks is, "If you killed Suzanne Berman, would you go to court right now?" And he goes, "No."
Yeah, as soon as they took that dope, I'm convinced that dope was what was keeping him alive. They took that dope away from him, put him in jail. He does not look good. Most people go to jail and start looking good again. Now, let me show you something, guys. No, I'm not going to show that. I'm not going to do her that way. Hold on. I've got to find it. All right, so there's some stuff. There was some stuff. I don't know where it's at, and I don't want to look through the live, sharing the screen, and just show everybody. So we will be wrapping up after this. But what I want to show you, this came from Lizzie, also another gal. I don't know if I should say her name, but so do we all know who David Dobson is? Right? Is that his name?
DD.
Dobson.
I thought it was JD.
What's his name?
I don't know. I'm lost.
Dobson.
I
in the
don't know.
chat.
You know, I don't remember names.
I don't remember either. In the chat, the church guy plays the flute, plays a song for summer every night. The hell is his? Oh wait. Well, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, Dotson, D-O-T, Dotson,
No, it's
isn't it?
Dobson. It's Dobson.
Oh.
Now check this out. So it popped up today that Don Buchanan, the lovely Don, the lovely Don is related to the lovely David Dobson.
Oh, they're related.
Yeah, and actually, what the claim is? The claim is the claim. What's the claim, Benny? The claim is that David Dobson is sleeping on the couch of Don Buchanan. How do you think he's getting all the information?
Oh.
Here we have
Interesting.
one brother, David
Now we
Dobson. And then you come down here.
Dodd, D-O-D.
Yeah, we've got the Buchanan mixes in with the Dobsons. It's right here. Right? It's right there.
Don Dodson.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, anyway,
now we know his source.
I don't,
even if it isn't his source, it's a rumor. He can make up rumors, so can we.
Facts. I mean, it certainly looks like the two of them are certainly connected in some sort of way. So, do you have anything to add in closing, young lady?
No, I'm added out.
Good, because I don't either.
I mean, I didn't even cover half of what I had written here. You know, we're gonna have to do another one. But I guess the other half was really treading on dangerous territory, so that's why I left it out.
Facts. Read Lizzie's last comment, and then we're out of here. Dobson also went to the church of the pastor that was arrested. All right, guys.
Whoa.
So remember, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. My wife is probably pissed. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.